Hi, I'm Emily from Emily Bakes Cakes, and I am here because today I want to make two different types of pastry cream. So pastry cream is something that sounds really intimidating, but it's actually fairly easy to make if you have a couple of little tricks to help you make it so that it doesn't curdle, which is like the grossest thing when it gets the little lumps in it. And honestly, if you're just willing to have a little bit of patience staying and whisking with it, then it tastes really amazing. So the two recipes that I'm going to use today are different in a couple of respects. So I'm going to use the pastry cream recipe from Tartine, which is a cookbook from a bakery in San Francisco, and it calls for milk and then 2 whole eggs, and so that's where it's a little bit different. It also has 3 to 4 tablespoons of cornstarch, so it relies more on cornstarch as the thickening ingredient to make the pastry cream hold its shape. The other pastry cream recipe I'm going to use comes from America's Test Kitchen, and it is the pastry cream recipe that they used for these Boston cream cupcakes, which are amazing. They're little yellow cupcakes that you scoop out the middle and you put the pastry cream on, put the top back on, and then you put a delicious chocolate ganache glaze on top. So it's like little individual Boston cream pies. So, and that recipe, it uses cream and egg yolks and only 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. So you can see that it uses it relies more on the egg yolks as kind of the firming agent rather than the cornstarch. Now, Tartine's cookbook says that you could use 4 egg yolks instead of the 2 full eggs if you would rather do that, if you want it to be a richer flavor. Also, at the end, the Tartine cookbook adds in 4 tablespoons of butter versus the America's Test Kitchen only adds in 2 tablespoons of butter. So it'll be interesting to see how the two set up. I still have 2 tart shells left over from when we were doing our lemon cream tart, and so I'm going to use these 2 pastry cream recipes and fill the tarts with them and then put some fruit on top, and then we'll see if there's a noticeable taste difference or if they're just pretty much both delicious. And so it just would matter. The thing that makes it easier about the Tartine one is that usually you'll have milk in your fridge, but you might not have cream. And so that makes it a little bit easier. And also, if you just can use whole eggs versus trying to separate the eggs and the separate the yolks and the whites, then that can be kind of convenient too. Okay, so I have my pan here. I'm going to use this pan for both of them. So we're starting out with the Tartine, and I just poured 2 cups of milk, and it's supposed to be whole milk, but I'm just using regular milk, or 2% milk, because that's what I have. And so I'm going to put this on the stove, and I'm supposed to have had a vanilla bean, but I never have a vanilla bean because I'm not super money bags. And so I usually just use vanilla and put in a teaspoon or 2 of vanilla. So we'll come back after this has heated up, and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so now we have our milk heating up on the stove, and just every once in a while, you don't want to have it too high of a temperature because the milk solids do cook to the bottom of the pan, and if you get anything that's kind of sticking to the bottom, it'll make your pastry cream turn bad, and then you'll want to just dump out the whole thing, scrub the bottom of the pan, and start all over again. So I thought I would make the mixture that we're going to pour our milk into. So we're going to take a 1/2 cup of sugar and put in the 3, and it says 3 to 4 tablespoons, depending on how firm you want your pastry cream to set up. So I think I'll just do 3.5. 3.5-ish, like that. Sounds like a good amount. So now we need to put in a little bit of salt. I forgot to grab that. And it says just a quarter teaspoon of salt, just because it adds a nice contrast to the sweetness. And then we're going to add 2 eggs, 2 whole eggs. Okay. We're going to whisk this. An important thing to remember is that once you've whisked eggs with sugar, this is really important. You are not going to want to stop. You're going to need to keep whisking it until you add the milk into the eggs. Otherwise, you will cook the sugar, the abrasiveness of the sugar like cooks, or it turns the yolks gross and weird. Now, if you keep whisking this, it turns into something really cool where it's all like ribbony. I don't know if you've ever done that before in your mixer where you've whisked egg yolks and sugar, but it turns into a really amazing mixture. I've done a couple recipes with that. So anyway, the cornstarch does help to give you a little bit of a buffer there, but once you've done this, you're going to just need to keep stirring it. So we're going to take this over to the stove and see how our milk is coming along. So here we have our eggs still are being mixed, and our milk is slowly heating up. It's steaming. Like you can see the milk solids. You have to be careful that you don't want to have those get stuck to the bottom of the pan if you have it too hot. So here's what I will tell you. One thing that I have learned is that if you don't heat the milk or the cream up enough, then it takes a lot longer for the pastry cream to form once you start cooking it. And so I mean, it just depends on your patience and tolerance for standing there whisking. But anyway, so this is getting a little bit warmer. Now, once we do the tempering process, which is pouring some of the milk into the eggs, then we'll dump it all back in here and we will whisk it completely. Now, in order for the cornstarch to work, the mixture has to come to a sort of a boil. But the conflict with that is that pastry cream, if it boils, then it curdles. So what you're looking for is when it all of a sudden starts getting really thick, and then there's just a couple of very slow, soft little bubbles that come up. And it's like with the lemon cream, how all of a sudden it just went super thick. It kind of does that same thing here with the pastry cream. So let's see, I wonder how, stick my finger in there. It's feeling pretty warm. So I will ladle some in to here. See how that goes. Ladle a little bit more here. Let's see how that's going. The ladle really is the easiest, or you could always just pour it all in and mix it up in here. And then we'll pour it all back in here. Now, I've never had problems with lumps, but it might be because I'm a more vigorous whisker. I've never had to like strain my pastry cream through like a sieve or sieve or whatever. So now what we're doing is, let's see, I kind of get a little impatient, so sometimes I turn it up to a little bit higher because I think I'm whisking it so vigorously so it's not having a chance to burn, at least, and that's what we want. So now after it's gotten to the point where it has a little bit of those burn, or a little bit of the bubbles, and it is cooked, we're going to want to immediately move it from the pan into a bowl. So we just turn on the light so we can see it a little bit better. Well, we'll come back in just a couple minutes and see how we're doing. Okay, so I'm still stirring it. You can see the smoke coming off of it. So I have to say, so So we put it in a bowl and we wait for it to cool down to 140 degrees, which is the magical temperature where it will mix really well with the butter, like how we did with the lemon cream. And I have used this pastry cream. I double it, but I use it for making trifle or to make anything else that you would use pastry cream for, to mix it with whipping cream, or I've used it for the filling for eclairs. Anyway, so once we have the butter all mixed in, then we're going to just pour it, even though it might still be warm, we're going to pour it into our tart crust, and then I'll put saran wrap over the top of it so that it doesn't have that gross film. Now this is supposed to make about 2.5 cups, just the same amount as our lemon cream did, and so I think I'll have enough left over that maybe my kids can just eat it. But anyway, so you can see that it's starting to have that filminess to it as you're looking at it. Let's see. So we're just looking for it to all of a sudden have that change. You can see there's already some thickness that has happened in there. Like it's more like cream now versus milk. So let's see if we stop stirring it. Make sure and scrape out in the sides. Oh, there it is. See? You can see. Now it is, and I'll turn it down really quick. And you can see, has there been, yep, there's the plop. Did you see it in there? Oh, there we go. So that is enough now. But I'm always worried about making sure that it's up to temperature, because I've had pastry cream that has not been thick enough. Okay, so I washed out this bowl, and I am not necessarily scraping the corners because it has kind of like that, got kind of thick in there, but I'm sure if it got whisked in, then it would be fine. So that will just be somebody's special treat to be able to eat that little bit, so that we have this right here. You get the whisk, and what we're going to do is we'll just leave this on the counter, and every minute or so I'll just come back over and whisk it until we get it cooled down. It'll take about 10 minutes. Down to about 146, 147, but so just keep whisking it. So since I didn't use the vanilla bean to cook in the milk, I'm just going to use my vanilla extract, and I think it's fine. I think it is equal amounts of taste, even if it comes from like squished up wood pulp or something like that. I remember there was America's Test Kitchen taste test that was done years ago. I remember watching it on PBS, and it talked about how you couldn't really tell the difference in the majority of things that you were cooking between pure vanilla extract and imitation vanilla, but I know that they just barely redid it again, and they said that you could. So I don't know. I think Big Vanilla got to them. It's one of my conspiracy theories. Anyway, my kid did not look at me when I said that. So I think this is good enough. What we'll do, oh, and so that's why we'll add the vanilla at the end as well. So I'm adding 1 tablespoon at a time, and I'm just whisking it in. And this process gives it that extra richness. So like I said, this is really interesting between the two types of pastry cream, how it's basically the same ingredients but just different amounts. So like this pastry cream has a 1/2 cup of sugar versus the other pastry cream has a 1/3 cup of sugar. So I don't know if maybe the extra richness of the egg yolks means that they put less sugar in it. It looks like it's all gone. Put in another one. But anyway, pastry cream is such a delicious thing, and it really is such a step above, say, vanilla pudding. So, like I said, oops, oh my goodness, that was very vigorous. But I used this pastry cream to make trifle, which is like the easiest dessert that gets so many people that love it. And it's where you just get an angel food cake from the store, and you whip it up or whatever and put it in the bottom, and then you put this pastry cream in after you finish mixing the butter and vanilla in, and you then put a layer of fruit, and then you put whipped cream, and then you put another layer of the angel food cake. And that's why I usually double this, because this is enough for one layer about, and because we like it pretty juicy. But it's pretty awesome because the warmth of the pastry cream, as you put it on the angel food cake, it makes it absorb in a really delicious and kind of way, and gives it a really amazing texture. Okay, so that's our 4th tablespoon of butter. Now, here's my caution, is that if you want to make this in advance, that's totally fine. You can cool it off and put it in the fridge, but you will not want to whisk it once it's cool. That disturbs the cornstarch thickness that it has gotten from being cooked, and so you're going to want to not whisk it. You might want to just stir it around, maybe with a spatula or a scraper or something. Okay, so now that is done, and then just add in some vanilla. Oh look, that changed the color a bit, but that's alright. Okay, so now I'll get my tart container, and I'm going to pour this in there. Oh, there we go. Let's see, how does that look? It got pretty full. That looks beautiful, and I think what I'll do is I will put saran wrap over the top of that and put it in the fridge, and I'll make the other pastry cream. Okay, so we're going to now make our second pastry cream. This one is from America's Test Kitchen, and we start off with 1 1/3 cups of cream. So it's basically the same method that we did before, where we're heating up this liquid. Okay, so anyway, we put it over there. Now the thing you have to be careful about with your cream is that it will not boil over. I've had that happen multiple times. All of a sudden it's just fine, and then the next minute it is, and it's a terrible, smelly, horrible mess. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make our egg mixture. And so what we do is we're going to whisk our egg yolks, our sugar, and salt together. We're going to add the cornstarch. So it's 1/3 cup of sugar. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, 1/3 cup of sugar this time versus the 1/2. And then 3 large egg yolks. So I'm just going to do this where I separate the eggs. I found that it's the easiest thing is if I separate them in my hands. I know for a lot of people that's a ick factor, but my husband has bought multiple kinds of egg separators, a metal one, and that you're supposed to swirl things around in, and anyway, none have worked as well as my hands. So let me just rinse off really quickly. Okay, and then we're going to add a pinch of salt right there. Okay, and we're going to whisk. Egg yolks and sugar is really fascinating. Well, maybe I'll have to make one of those kind of cakes or one of the frostings where you mix the egg yolks together. Okay, now we're going to add 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. Okay, like that. And once again, I'm using salted butter for at the end, just because I like the way salted butter tastes in most things. Okay, so this is really interesting. Now what we're going to do is we'll go over to the stove and we'll just keep whisking this over by the cream. Okay, so you can already see that this is a much thicker mixture than when we used our full eggs. But now let's see, looking at our cream, it doesn't have the same thing with the milk solids sticking on the bottom. And it's starting to steam a little bit. Let's see, and we just keep whisking this. Usually I wait till the cream is a little bit warmer before I mix this together, just so I don't have to spend a lot of time whisking it, because I'm lazy like that. But let's see, if I stick my finger in, no, it's not that hot yet. And like I said, it's if you don't get the cream very warm before, then it takes a lot longer for it to heat back up once you've added the milk into it. So we'll check back in a minute or two. Okay, so our cream I think has gotten warm enough, so we're just going to add a little bit. Just kind of loosen it up a little bit. There we go. Someone went in our front door, like a guard dog. Just kidding, as he is. Little Miss Frady cat. Okay. Whisk that in there. Let me see, I gotta turn that down so that when we, let's see, and then we'll pour the rest in. Okay. Now we'll pour this into the pan. So in terms of ease, they both are basically the same recipe. Because I mean, you make them both the same way. So now we're going to keep whisking this until we have that same bubble. I don't know how long it will take. Let's see. Turn it back up to 5. Keep whisking it. See if I can get in the corners. This seems like it's less than the other one. And so the whole amount might just fit in the pastry tart crust. So... Alright, keep whisking this. I remember the first time I made pastry cream, I was thinking, look how cool I am. Look at this, look what I can do. So, anyway, it makes you feel really kind of like, I am kind of experienced in cooking now. So, and it really is fairly easy. I mean, it dirties up a bowl and a bowl and in a pot, but homemade pastry cream is just super delicious. So, okay, let's see, I think this is getting thicker. So then, let's see. Let's see if it's starting to get to a point where maybe, nope, it does not have any bubbles yet. And remember, we only want to see like 1 or 2, because other than that, it would curdle. And we do not want that. So let's see. Oh, we saw a little bit. Turn it down. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, I forgot to wash out my bowl, so we'll just come over here. There we go. Now this one doesn't have any specific instructions to wait for it to get to a certain temperature. We only have 2 tablespoons of butter to add, and then the vanilla. It says to add 1.5 teaspoons vanilla. So just whisk that around. Is it gone? Nope, still in there. Make sure that it's all the way gone and whisked in so that we don't get some sort of butter layer on top. That would be gross. Actually, just kidding. I think butter is the most amazing, delicious ingredient ever. It's one of my very favorite things. There was a bakery called Butter that I read about in New York years ago, or I can't remember where it was, but I remember thinking that's the perfect name for a bakery because butter is the root of everything delicious. So, and of course Anthony Bourdain said, if you try and make something at home and it doesn't taste as good, then it's probably because you didn't put in as much butter as the restaurant people did. Of course that's paraphrasing quite liberally. But, okay, so now I've added in vanilla. And alright, now I'm going to pour this into my tart shell. You can see how beautifully that goes in there. It looks like it's just the exact right amount. I'm not scraping the corners, just the bottom where I know that I was able to be whisking. And I have to tell you, sometimes because you add the vanilla at the end, I forget to add the vanilla and it still tastes really good anyway. So, let's see, yeah, we won't scrape that just because it has, I mean, if you look at it, I mean, it's not that bad, but I mean, if you really want to just make sure that you aren't going to have any weird solids. Okay, so now we have this one. We'll put, so this is how the saran wrap goes on top of it, just so you know, like you do just lay it right on top of it. And if you're worried, oh no, it's all going to come off when I take it off, that's not how it works at all. It has enough surface stability that when you pull it off, it just comes off very, very cleanly. So I'm going to put this in the fridge and we'll come back in a couple hours and decorate it with some fruit and have a taste test to see which one everybody likes. So this one with the colored is the America's Test Kitchen and the white plate is the Tartine Bakery pastry cream. Okay, so we have our two tarts out right now and my daughters are going to decorate them. On this tart we're going to put the strawberries and blueberries, and on this tart we're going to put peaches and blackberries. And I have really amazing fresh peaches right now because it's peach season. Otherwise I probably would never buy peaches. But I know that most people, if you don't know how to peel a peach really quickly and efficiently, you can dip it in hot water for a couple of seconds and then it can, and then pull it out and put it in ice water and it comes off. But this, usually it comes off pretty well, just peeling it off. I have peeled, this is 1.5 peaches right here, and I think that'll be more than enough because we have fairly small tarts. Also, I have a couple tablespoons of apricot jelly that my sister made, and I'm just going to warm it up so that it can act as a glaze on top. Now, obviously you can do it however you would like to have your fruit on there. One of the things that the bakers at Tartine said is that this is one of their most requested recipes, and they said, but they thought maybe we should even put it in the cookbook because it's such a simple thing. It's just the crust and pastry cream and then the fruit. But they said so many people just love that combination. So we'll take a video of my daughters doing that. We'll see, let's take this off and see how well it peels off. I'll see that, you know, not too much, but some of it came off. And you can see that it's set up really quite well so that when we cut it, it's probably not going to, and here's this one, it's not going to leak all over the place. So this one had more coming off of it. As you can see, it still is pretty firm. This one had some left over, but my kids already ate it. This one, the recipe completely just filled the whole thing. So what we'll do now is we'll have my daughters come over here, and it's great to have kids who are artistic and like to do this kind of stuff, and they'll decorate it. And it's fun if you don't have any ideas of how you could decorate it, to look up just images of like fruit tarts or fruit pizza or anything like that, and you can see really fun ways to add fruit to the tops of these. So, and I think that this tart dough is really more like a cookie dough with how it has the cup of sugar and cup of butter. So I think that you don't have to use all the blackberries, Sarah, if you don't want to.
No. I just want more fruit.
She wants more fruit. Okay. She loves blackberries so much.
I like raspberries.
And she, oh, I thought you liked blackberries too.
And lemons.
Yes. And Katie is making very beautiful, like rose type situation. You don't have to use all of the fruit either.
Oh, I like a lot of fruit.
You like a lot of fruit with it? Okay.
Also, Mom, they need to be supportive
Okay,
of
I'm
each
done.
other.
Oh, they do? Are they falling
Wait,
over?
you're only doing 2 fruits.
Okay, so Katie won the race. No, I'm just kidding. There was no race.
Katie,
See, they're tipping.
you have to.
Okay, so Phoebe, do you want to come and just brush the top very lightly with the glaze, like just like this? Okay. Maybe tap it like that. Will you come over here and do that? Come stand over here. Okay. And just kind of lightly, lightly, it has plenty on it, and you just need to kind of tap the strawberries. I don't think the blueberries necessarily need anything. One of the other things that he said, or she said, in the Tartine cookbook is that you could just drizzle a little bit of honey on it. And she said, and that actually looks really pretty because it kind of beads up on the fruit. So, anyway, that's personal preference on that.
Oh, wow.
Uh-oh, the last one tumbled over.
I know. Oh.
I don't know if you can, oh, there you go.
Make sure
Masterpiece,
you don't
good
have
job.
it fall when you glaze it.
Okay, so, all right, Viv, do you want to glaze the peaches over there, or did you get most of the strawberries?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because these strawberries were actually pretty sweet, so I don't know that, you're not trying to add sweetness, you just need to put it on the peaches. The blackberries will be fine without it.
Yeah, the peaches
Although
need a
it kind of
little
does
bit
make
more.
it look nice and,
Shiny.
yeah, it makes it look shiny when you put it on the top. So, you can put a little bit more on maybe.
I feel like the peaches don't need it because they already have the stuff on top of it.
Well, they don't have-
Blackberries.
No, Vivian, it adds the extra, like,
No, because the peaches have, they turn brown if you don't put something on them.
really?
Yeah, peaches discolor after you've cut them. So that's why it's good. Anyway, these look beautiful. And so after dinner, we're going to cut them up and we will taste test them and see if there's any noticeable difference between the two types of pastry cream. Uh-oh. Yeah, maybe just... Okay. Okay, so I was able to just move it onto the plate. You can see it's pretty stable tart. So I'm just going to cut, whoops, some pieces, and then we'll have everybody get a taste of it. You can see it gets kind of, uh-oh, there you go. That kind of fell apart. You remember how I had kind of like Frankensteined it all together when I cut it before, or I mean when I was rolling out the dough. Okay, so let's see. I wonder if I can try and cut this on here. I wonder if the fruit on it will change the flavor at all, or if the pastry cream will just shine. Let's see. So we're gonna have my kids and my husband taste it. They don't know which pastry cream is which. My daughter Sarah and I do because we made it earlier today. So we'll have them take a bite and I'll film their...
Trying to get all of it in.
Get it all in
then-
one bite.
So then it's easier to tell. Maybe.
Is that how you normally hold a fork?
It kind of
there?
reminds me of, like, Mom, like, if we're gonna do, like, whipping cream, almost, but, like, way sweeter and better.
Okay, so try the next one.
Okay.
Okay, Katie, or Sarah, try the other one.
Hey, baby.
And Vivi.
Yeah, I want a peach.
Okay, so when you taste the pastry cream, can you tell a difference between the two pastry creams?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what do you think?
Well, you know, Sarah.
Which one do you like better?
Easier for you.
That one.
You like that pastry cream better?
This
Okay.
one tastes like rice pudding.
Oh,
Like, exactly how it smells almost and tastes. And that one tastes like a sweeter, like its own thing.
okay, what do you think, Viv?
I feel like this one's America's Test Kitchen because it's more sweet.
Well, which one do you like better?
I like that one.
Okay, well, we're going to have Katie and Scott come over here. Okay, try and get them in the picture. I have to step back. Okay. All right, so go ahead and taste it and tell me what you think.
This one held together more. It has like a thicker, creamier look. So visually, I like the one with the blackberries more. Let's see if we can get a piece of you. You're on the wrong side. We're having a share problem here.
Wait a minute.
I tried the cream differently, like separately, without anything.
Do you think there's any significant difference between them?
Yeah.
Does it taste like? Does this one taste like rice pudding?
You can tell that they're the same thing. But this
This
one is,
bigger one tastes
I think
like
this one
rice
is sweeter and this one is lighter.
Really?
Like this one feels more like it's almost like this one but with whipping cream mixed in is this one. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
this one is like, I don't know, it's like more like pudding kind of.
Okay, what do you think, Scott?
I like the thicker one better. It's just,
Oh, I like this one better, but I think I actually just like strawberries on the tart better than the other fruit.
Probably
Okay.
because you made it.
Let me try
Yeah, I like the
strawberry
fruit.
with this one.
I like the fruit on this
How did
tart.
the crust hold up?
It's good.
I like that fruit on that tart, and I just like the taste. The crust adds the goodness, and it doesn't like have a significant taste. It just like is the crunch in it.
Okay, so, but when it comes down to it, do you think it really matters which pastry cream?
No, they're both really good.
Okay, well,
I think this has a more rich flavor. The one with the blackberries.
well, it does actually, because this one is the America's Test Kitchen, and it's the one that had only egg yolks and cream. And then this one was the Tartine one that was made with whole eggs and milk
And more
And-
butter.
and had more butter in it.
Yeah.
It had 4 tablespoons, and this one only had 2 tablespoons.
I don't like the taste of this one.
This one had a half cup of sugar, and this one only had a 1/3 cup of sugar. So I don't know if that made a difference. Who said that they thought one was sweeter than the other?
Me.
Did you think this one was sweeter than the
I
other
thought
one,
this
Katie?
one was sweeter.
No, I thought
than
this one was.
I thought that one tasted sweeter.
Yeah, well, that would track with the fact that it has more sugar.
Yes.
Okay, anyway.
This just has a looser texture. The way this holds together more, it's more of a fully creamy. It just looks better.
I like
and
this
it
one.
tastes more rich. So
I like it lighter.
they're very. It's like comparing, a Lexus and an Infinity.
I
Two
personally-
high quality pastries that no one's gonna taste and be like, oh, I can't believe it. They're both very delicious. It's
I
just if you're
personally
getting
don't
down to the
like-
finer points, then I definitely like the one with the blackberry.
I personally
Okay.
just don't like blackberries.
Oh.
Yeah, I like strawberries. We should have put strawberries on both.
No, I.
Or just
Okay,
peaches.
so thank you for your input.